I'm IT, aka Ike Taylor, aka Swag, aka One of a Kind, aka I don't shoot twos, I shoot threes on the 3-point conversion radio.
Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Obviously excited about Rivalry Week coming up. Looking at them, they played a very tough schedule. One challenging thing is they dismissed their defense coordinator yesterday. Obviously, you got to predict, if anything's going to be different as far as that goes. The quarterback, he's a young guy, but he's a playmaker. You look at their special teams, one of the best kick returners in college football, and their field goal kicker is one of the best. So I don't think he's missed 9 for 9 with a 52-yarder. So obviously, big game for us. Short week. I think it's our third short week games. We're using the same routine as far as that goes, and we're excited to be at home again in front of our home crowd. Questions?
Coach, got to ask, every week you met Dylan Gabriel. I know last week you said he returned to practice. I know he didn't dress his pass game, although he was throwing a little bit in pregame. What's his status, and is there a chance he plays Friday?
Well, he's been sick the last 2 days, so I think that's going to be tough. Look at Mikey. This will be his 9th game. He played his best game, I think, last week, and he is improving each game. You saw him with the touchdown on the ground. That's really a game changer for us, with him moving forward. And I think he's doing a super job leading us.
What challenges does when the opposing team hires their coordinator, offensive defense, whatever it is, a few days before a game? What challenges?
There is some challenges with that. There's no doubt. I mean, this late in the season. I mean, you got a lot of information as far as with personnel and what they've done and all that, but it's just kind of the unknown. Who's going to call it? Anything going to be different? Same, whatever. You just got to be prepared. Anytime that happens, of course, then you throw in a short week. And that makes it a little more challenging too. Then you throw in its rival too. So we'll just have to be able to adjust.
Coach, last year, obviously we had the pandemic and things like that, and a lot of the message around here was, be thankful for the games you have this year, because whether or not you're playing is a question. With all the injuries and stuff, is there an aspect of that will go in with the players this season about, the opportunity that each game provides to play?
Oh, first of all, we're thankful. There's no doubt. It's great to be in front of a crowd like ours. I mean, that's been a lot of fun. It's been even fun for me, and so our guys, they've hung in there all year. They come out ready to play, and played hard every game, and so it's the last game. This is it. This is the last rodeo before the bowl game, and obviously it's a big one for us.
How have you noticed the game slowing down for Mikey as the weeks have moved along?
You can just tell just by watching his demeanor and everything, and then of course the communication you have, in between series, and really the communication leading up to game week has been different. Just the questions he asks, and the things he likes. At first, he's 18 years old. He's a true freshman, and at first, you'd ask him a question, and he's good with everything. Now, it's kind of getting to the point, hey, I feel more comfortable with this, I feel more comfortable with that. That's good. That's growth, and that tells you that he's starting to kind of understand the big picture, and so that's been really good.
2 games into that platform setup, are you getting more comfortable with that? How's that working out for you?
Yeah. I was more comfortable because we won. That's really about the only difference. And I will say this about our official. I really appreciate the officiating crew. I mean, in between every series, they were at least communicating, coming up to me, coach, anything, and that was a really, really good feeling, because the week before it wasn't that way, and it was like, it wasn't good. But I really appreciate the fact that they came in and checked in, and a lot of times from a coach's standpoint, just that communication, whether you agree or disagree, that communication like it would be if you're on the field.
I'm sure players have talked about it 24 hours since Saturday's game, looking ahead to Friday. What do you know about this rivalry series for the UCF and Southfield?
Yeah, of course, I've heard a lot about it since I've been hired. I know how important it is to our fan base, and I'm sure theirs too. So, I've been blessed to be a part of some rivalry games, and this is a big one too. So, I'm looking forward to it. I like coaching rivalry games. I know their head coach pretty well. I know the receiver coach, was with me some at Auburn, so we're very familiar, and looking forward to playing.
Going back to Mikey kind of building and growing, as it were, dealing with whatever's in front of him, the center change, he had Matt Lee come off the sideline. How do you think he dealt with that?
That's another thing that kind of stresses you. You got to make a center change, and and we don't do a lot of up under, but we do have certain plays each week that we'll do from up under, and just that quarterback center exchange, that was really the biggest stress. But this is later in the season. We've done that a couple times during the season. That's really helped us, and so there's not near as much as anxiety and stress as there was, when he first started playing and we had to switch centers.
Johnny Richardson had his best game last week. When did you know that he was ready to really carry the load?
Yeah, it's been a growing process. He's a young guy too, and he's done some really good things for us. He's been very explosive with the ball, and he's made some really big time runs, and so it was really good. You can see him growing and maturing, and he's starting to understand that he's a really good running back. A lot of times young guys, I don't care what the position is, it takes a while. Even if they're very talented, it takes them a while to figure out that they're really good. And he's got a chance to be really good. He's starting to get that confidence to play with. And I mean, you get him on the perimeter, man, he does some good things. And when we hand the ball inside, he did some good things. Now I'm going to say this about Mark. Mark's grown up too. I mean, Mark is a guy that is really, he's a load, that touchdown run, he willed himself to get in the end zone. So, without Bowser, it's been a deal that we were able to develop some depth. Both those guys are getting confidence, and I thought they had their best games last week.
As you may know, Korea Davis and Ryan O'Keefe were both named to the 2021 GKCO All-District team. How have they both impacted the locker room both on and off?
Oh man, first of all, they're wonderful people. They're very well respected by their teammates. I think both those guys are NFL guys too, so it's always great when your best players are great leaders, and teammates, and all of that. It really helps the whole team.
Coach, what have you seen from USF from an offensive standpoint? I know they got some guys from this local area that played at Sanford Seminole, Timmy McLean quarterback, Jimmy Horn a receiver. Just what have you seen from their offense? I know they put up some points at times.
Yeah, they're explosive. Those two guys are really explosive right there. And, they've got another receiver, I think, that's as impressive too. We got a chance to watch him against Temple because we played Temple right after him. And they were very impressive. So they got playmakers, we know that. And we know they're going to give it their best.
You mentioned Johnny and Mark had good games this past week, but what's the status of Isaiah Bowser? What is he able to do in practice?
Yeah, he is getting more healthy, getting closer. We're hopeful. That's probably the best way to put it. We dressed him out and see what he could do, and it was kind of emergency only last week. We'll kind of have that same mentality each week. He did practice today, so we'll see what that looks like, come game time.
Coach, obviously the coaching profession is crazy. You went through an experience a year ago. It's getting even crazier this year when you look at what's happening, especially in the SEC. Got a coach that won a national championship a couple years ago. He's on the way out. Dan Mullen in Florida is coming off some great years. Really just has one bad year, and he's out. What's kind of your perspective from afar now? I know that you've been through that grind, that everything that's going on this year in college football.
Well, I mean, I think that's just college football this day and time. And I think from a coach's standpoint, you know what you're getting into. You got to win, and everybody understands that. Now, there's some great coaches that got let go. There's no doubt about that. That I have a whole lot of respect for. And they'll bounce back. I mean, there's no doubt. And but yeah, this is the day and age of college football that you know what you're getting into. They pay you a lot of money. They expect you to win. If it doesn't go that way, then they get somebody else and see what he can do.
When it comes to a rivalry game, what makes a 2-9 team dangerous?
It's just a rivalry. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, you throw out the record books in any rivalry, and here's what you know. You're going to give both your best. I mean, they know that we're going to get our best. We're going to get their best. That's part of being a rival, and that's part of what makes rivalry special. And you throw the records out the door and see who the best is.
Coach, we know about the rivalry you came from, Auburn, Alabama. Are there some other rivalries in your past, maybe when you were coaching in high school? What's kind of your personal history with rivalry games?
No, we had one in high school, Springdale High School versus Fayetteville High School in Northwest Arkansas. Good, that was a real rivalry. It's personal. When you know everybody in the town, that's a personal deal. That was really my first real rivalry, when you know that it's so important. You better win, or you may not want to go to work the next day. That kind of deal. And so that really prepared me for the Iron Bowl. That was a pretty good one too. And looking forward to this one also.
This is your third Friday game of the season. You mentioned before you got the routine then, but Thanksgiving on Thursday, how does that change things at all?
Yeah, Thursday's going to be our Friday, so usually we give our guys off until about 3:30, so that's going to give them a chance to be with their families, which it really works out pretty good as far as that goes. Wednesday night, we'll have a little family deal with our players and all that. After practice, that'll be pretty cool, and then we'll come back at 3:30, and we'll start our meetings, and we'll just treat it like a normal Friday, even though it's Thursday. And getting used to these Friday games, that short week, it's always interesting.
Coach, speaking of Thanksgiving, what are you most thankful for right now?
I'm thankful for a lot. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my family's health. I'm thankful to have these players that I've been blessed to inherit and coach. They've been a true blessing and blessed to be here. I mean, this is a special place, and I knew that from afar, but when you get here and you figure out exactly how good it is, and the people are wonderful. So really, it's a whole lot to be thankful for.
What did these seniors mean to this program?
Means a lot. These guys have won, and they've helped develop the foundation of this place. And then a new coach in town comes in. It's always harder on the seniors than anybody else because you do things new. You got a new leader and new expectations as far as different things that go about. And just real appreciative of these seniors, the way that they've responded, the way they bought in. They're really the main reason that we hadn't folded our tent at times. There's been plenty of opportunities to point the finger or throw the towel in or whatever, and they hadn't flinched. And they've really kept this thing together and allowed us to be here at this time. And we're going to fight like crazy to get win number 8.
You said you're familiar with Jeff Scott, the head coach at USF. How do you guys know each other?
Well, when he was at Clemson, Chad Morris was offensive coordinator at Clemson, one of my good friends, and Jeff coached with him, and they came over to Auburn a few times, talked football and all that. So, he's a guy that I've known for a long time.
You talked a little bit about Thanksgiving. What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish side?
I'm a big dressing guy. I like dressing and put a bunch of gravy on it, And I usually make myself sick. I get excited. But that's it.
You talking about obviously this war on I-4 rivalry, how you've heard it. Do you kind of remember as the coaching tour stops you made in the spring and summer, were fans talking to you about this rivalry and kind of telling you how important it is that you don't lose the game?
Yeah, I think it was the first day I was hired. I think somebody told me that's the one. Okay. So when you take a job, you look, and I know how important it is. This will be my first rodeo with this rivalry, and like I said, I'm looking forward to it.
Coach, when it comes to rivalry games, how do you approach it versus another game that's on the schedule?
Yeah, I think it's real important that you let your seniors, your older guys, express what it means to them. They've been through it a long time, so we'll do that. I think that'll be good for our staff to hear and all that. But my experience is, man, it's the kind of game you play for. You look forward to playing for. You know how important it is. That's fun to coach in games like that. It's fun to play in games like that.
Coach, when you've got a rivalry and you've got one team that is clearly rebuilding, how much of a leg up can that be in terms of recruiting? Because sometimes you recruit the same guys.
Yeah, there's no doubt. All rivalry games are, from a college standpoint, you think about recruiting. They're all important as far as that goes. And, I'm really excited about how recruiting's going here. It's we got a real chance. We got a real chance to finish this thing really strong. I think I've told you this before, but it's going to be an unbelievable destination place for transfers, and so the future's bright.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
y'all.
Thanksgiving, Coach.
Okay, thank y'all.
Enjoy the dressing.
I will.
Not a shred of doubt in that response.
Oh, no, he meant Everybody has something. It's his dressing. Mine's mashed potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
That's not really that difficult. If you don't like mashed potatoes, leave my country.
Our question for Anthony Montalvo.
Hey, Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you? Sorry, my voice. I kind of lost it.
Okay, I went through that a month ago. I know what you're going through. Obviously, big game coming up on Friday. You're from Tampa, so you've been through a few of these rivalries. You have a unique perspective being from that area. So, what does it mean to you every time you lace it up against those guys down in Tampa?
It's a hometown team, so some of the guys I know, it's just kind of like backyard football. You just want to have that winning edge. You just you're competitive. You want to win. You know what I mean? Especially with the guys that you know. I just want to win. That's all.
You guys have been struggling this season, only a couple of wins. How does that change the dynamic entering these games? Just everything the past time you mentioned.
It doesn't really change anything because they're still a really good team. You know, they have a veteran group up front and they have a really mobile quarterback. And then they still have wide receivers that can, run out there and catch the ball. They have everything. Their record doesn't show how good they are.
Anthony, earlier in the year, had a little trouble getting to the quarterback. Now we've gone through much of the season. We're going into the last week. You guys have been attacking the backfield much better. What do you think kind of changed over the season there?
I don't want to say the necessarily play calling. It's just the motive for the players, especially with the movements that we've been doing up front more. We've been having a little more blitzes, kind of, I don't know the proper way of saying this, showing our pride on the field a little more.
Okay.
Going into game 12, what's the grind like on the body?
Oh man, it's heavy. Game 12, going from, spring and then straight into summer and fall. It's heavy for every player, especially the players that play a lot of snaps. We're getting up to the players that have 300 snaps, in the season. So I guess they usually got to take care of it.
Anthony, obviously you're an older guy. You recognize that USF's a good team. Maybe better than the record. But what do you say to the younger guys? Because do they understand this is USF Super Bowl? Like this is the biggest game on their. They're not going to a bowl game. They love nothing more. UCF invited to the Big 12. They love nothing more to try to get a win, especially this. Maybe this is going to be the last game in the bounce house for a long time. I mean, is that something you communicate to the younger players?
Yeah, so to the younger players, it's really more of like, we're going to get their best. I can say it as much as I want, but once we start playing the game, that's like, wow, their record shows this, but they're playing something different. So.
Obviously, this is senior night for you and a lot of other guys. Have you taken any moments to reflect on your career here?
Honestly, no. Now you mentioned it, I'm kind of reflecting now, but now we haven't really had a chance. I think after the game, I think all of us are kind of just standing in the middle of the stadium and probably reflecting them.
Oh, I'm going to ask you to reflect. Going on for that. What's on the top of your head? Like, what's been like a favorite memory or favorite moment in your 4 or 5 years here that comes off the top of your head?
Favorite moment was my first sack against USF against Chris O'Donovan. He was one of my good friends in high school. I blocked for him in high school, and then my other best moment was earning my scholarship in 2019.
Anthony, with this game, obviously with the rivalry game, everyone knows it's a rivalry game. Is there something in the locker room that changes? Is there a mentality in the players that change? You notice something that's different with this game on the players?
I mean, like I said, it feels like backyard football, and you kind of have that competitive edge. Like you're going against people that you know, and you just want to win. It's hard to explain. We're just all competitive, but knowing the people is just different.
What do you think senior day is going to be like for you? You've seen other guys go through it and everything. I guess you walk out there with your family. What do you think that moment's going to be like?
Emotional. I think everybody's going to be emotional, especially, for the guys that, we've been so close for so long, and seeing everybody, that, even the freshmen that are just coming in that you get close to over the, workouts and fall camp, and thinking like, this is the last game. It's emotional.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving Day side dish?
Side dish? Oh man, probably mashed potatoes and gravy. I love my mashed potatoes and gravy.
Just to be clear, I mean, I know you've been here 5 years. You've been long career, you graduated and everything. But I guess technically you can have another year of eligibility. I mean, is this it for you at UCF, or is that a final decision maybe won't happen until later on?
The decision will happen later. I'll let y'all, keep thinking about it right now, but the decision will happen later on.
But you're saying you're going through senior day. I mean,
Yeah, I'll figure it out later. I'm just taking it day by day right now.
Okay.
What's the legacy of this senior class?
The legacy? Oh man, that's a good one. I mean, for the senior class itself, I would feel like that 2017 year, that undefeated year. We went undefeated. We just felt how good that felt. And I think that was our legacy, and just keeping that. We want to keep that going.
How proud are you of the way the D-lines kind of persevered through injuries and Leah going out, and Rick Barber was out for a while, but you guys never really took a step back. You guys like Keenan stepped up and Cam, and talk about that a little bit.
I think we're just all prideful, especially KD. We all love KD. We all love Rick. We love each other on the D-line, and seeing him go down, we're like, we knew we had to step up. KD's he's a big player. Like I told you, I think he's the best defensive lineman we have. But Keenan stepping up. we see what he can do. He's an NFL type guy.
Have you seen Cam today? How badly do you want to get an interception today?
Cam, I felt like a proud father when he intercepted the ball, but now I want one as well.
On that note, if he would have dropped that opportunity at the interception, would you have been the first person to tease him about it?
Oh yeah, no doubt. As soon as he would have dropped it, I would yell at him afterwards I would tell him, I'm sorry, but
Anything else? Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Smith.
Love you, Montauk.
Our questions for Sam Jackson.
Sam, you've been here a long time. You know about this rivalry. What do you want the younger guys on the team that maybe haven't experienced? I had experience maybe some of the guys last year with the empty stadium. Usually empty over there anyway, but it's a little bit different with COVID. But what do you want the younger guys to kind of understand about this rivalry?
I mean, you got to play with an edge, just like any rivalry game, and it's horns down all week. So.
Do you guys talk to Gus Malzahn and know about the history of this series? Or just...
He told us that he wants to tell some of the other guys about it. Talked to our position coach, Coach Hand, told him about it. Talked about how the old regime at USF talked badly about us like 10 years ago or whatever, and how that's turned out. So.
You spent the past however many games he's been starting protecting Mikey King. He's dealing with transitions, et cetera, and things like that. From your perspective, have you seen a constant improvement? Is he easier to protect now than he was when he first started?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. You just see his growth. When a young guy gets in there, you can definitely tell he kind of do everything by the book. Like, what they're told to do is what they're going to try to do. And, sometimes you just got to make plays when you have to make plays. And, I think I've definitely seen that growth just from his first start to last game, making plays with his legs. Like, that gives us better tools when it comes to dealing with defenses.
Physically, what's the grind like going into game 12 on the body?
Oh, it's just, you're sore. I'm an old guy, and to get on there, but just like every guy on the team, we're all sore and all that stuff. It's all about how you take care of your body and be professional when it comes to that.
Sam, now obviously you're going to play USF. UCF will play at least for the next 2 years, it looks like. I think UCF's eventually going to be moving conferences to the Big 12. I'm sure you're kind of versed about, you kind of mentioned that a minute ago, you're well versed of how, that rivalry and how USF is doing everything they could to kind of put down UCF in years past. But maybe there's some satisfaction that, USF is going to leave those guys behind and move on to a Power 5 conference, and they're going to be where they are, and they're not going to be the Big 12.
I mean, obviously it's a rivalry. You're glad when you do better than them in a future sense, and it's one of those things where you're like, I bet they're looking at it like 2020, like, man, that's kind of sucks. But I'm happy that we were able to build what we built, and now that we're about to go, be in a Power 5 conference, like UCF should have been from the beginning, and if we leave USF behind, it happens.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
Cornbread. I'm a big cornbread guy. I love my aunt's cornbread, so I have to make sure she always makes it. That's like the one thing I always have to have.
The series is tied 6-6. What would it mean for you guys to take the series lead?
It'd just be cool. It'd be another thing that we get to, talk smack about later on in life. And, I'm from Bradenton and the Sarasota area, so I know guys on that team. And, I remember coming here, we were down, it was like 2-6 or something, like that. And I had a coach that played at USF, and that's what he would always talk about. Doesn't talk to me about it anymore. So.
Sam, obviously, later part of your career, we're talking about the potential of leaving USF behind. If that happens, do you see anybody out there who could be the potential next rival?
Obviously Cincinnati's going with us too, right? As kind of top 2 teams for the last 5 years. I always just have a thing about Cincinnati, but I kind of hope they keep the USF game, honestly. Be better than they were back 10 years ago or whatever.
As far as the younger guys on the O-line, of the freshmen, you had pretty much a full season to see them. Does anybody this guy's next up? I mean, again, you're standing next to him in practice.
Yeah.
Do Anything in particular about the younger guys?
Honestly, I think all the young guys have done a great job. Like, I mean, there's not one particular person that I would point out. I mean, they all do a good job, you know. A lot of the young guys are on the scout team, so they're going through that. And everything from the defensive coaches, you know, they like what they see over there. And whenever they do come over and we're with them, you know, I can see a kind of maturing process with them. And, you know, it's always good to see. And I think spring will actually be the better time for everyone.
What's the legacy of this senior class?
You know, we've had really good success with 3 different staffs. We went 25 and 0. You know, just we had a really good, you know, we had really good runs, and you know, at the end of the day, like, we were winners, and I just think we kind of left that legacy, that culture of, you know, what we want to be and what we want UCF to be. And I hope that guys in the future can carry on.
Tim, obviously it's not been a good year in Tampa for those guys. You know, losing a lot of games. You just fired their defensive coordinator last night. But this is their Super Bowl. They're not going to a bowl game. This is their Super Bowl. How much do for the young guys to recognize that you know they're going to come ready and try to? They'd love nothing more than to knock UCF off in the bounce house before this rivalry ends.
I mean, just like I said, you got to play with the edge. It doesn't matter who it is. I think that's one of the things Malzahn mentioned earlier. You know, the record book kind of just goes out the window whenever it's a rivalry game, right? Whether it's one's having a down year or another, you're always gonna get their best. And, you know, they're gonna get our best, and we're gonna get their best. And as long as the young guys understand that, that's all it is.
You had a senior day arrive on Friday. Have you had any time to reflect on your time?
Reflect on my time, think about it. I mean, I kind of always think about it. It's been feels like when I think about it, I'm like, wow, it's been already 5 years. It was fast, but you know, during the process, like I felt like, you know, we did a good job as a team enjoying the moments that we had. And, you know, just, I mean, time does go by fast. I know. Everyone tells you that, but it probably is.
What's been your favorite or most memorable moment at UCF?
2017 when we beat Memphis in double overtime to cap off the, you know, undefeated regular season. You know, and then eventually beat Auburn. But I would just say that conference championship was, you know, it was unreal. That anyone who was there knows, you know, it was electric.
Tim, got to ask, you know, obviously you're going through senior day. You've been here a long time. You've graduated. You can move on. I mean, I'm sure everyone can understand that. But I know guys have another year if they choose to use it. Is this your last game at UCF, or is that a decision that hasn't been made yet?
It hasn't been made yet. You know, keep all my options open. Kind of be a decision I talk with the coaches, you know, after the last game.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks, man.